Okay, it's time to chat about this whole all the rage thing. You've probably seen, unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably seen on social media this rampant messaging around attachment styles. Now, I'm not discounting that they exist or that there hasn't been some good work done around that, books written on it to have awareness. Sure, I've read several of them and have done enough studying and even just my own self-work around my tendencies toward what would be called an anxious attachment, and even on some levels disorganized attachment, which is one of the more serious, complicated ones, right? And if you've had past trauma, you had traumas in your childhood, you were not protected by your parents weren't there for you in a solid way, or they were and they weren't, or they were there physically but not emotionally, they acted like they loved you but then also hurt you, and you have this disorganized push-pull, come here, go away, that can also look like borderline personality and all of these things. And so, yeah, that's on us to do our own work. If you lean toward that anxiously attached and you are not comfortable with distance, or you're with someone who is triggering all of that in you because they are being avoidant or dismissive, avoidant, or just a complete asshole or abusive, right? We have to know the difference. And so then that's natural that it would be triggered within you. So it's recognizing, okay, I have these tendencies. I need to self-soothe, work on that, look at where that's coming up and not make that about anyone else but me. But then also, I wouldn't thrive with an erratic, chaotic, confusing, unreliable, flaky guy. Like, no thank you, never again. And so we need to do the work on ourselves to heal our anxieties and how we tend to attach in an intimate relationship. Now, this whole thing around dismissive avoidant and anxious avoidant, dismissive avoidant and avoidant are the two that come across a lot like narcissism. It can come across like narcissistic abuse. And I think we're doing ourselves a disservice by even just trying to have a relationship with someone like that, because it then so many women will be like, is it narcissism or is it his attachment? It doesn't matter, because if they're behaving in a way that's hurtful, that is causing chaos, that's causing pain, that's causing drama and a very tumultuous, volatile relationship, and it's undermining your ability to connect with them in a healthy way, it doesn't matter whether it is NPD or their attachment style, because either way, unless they're willing to own it and do their own work to be healthier attached in the secure attachment realm, outside of narcissism, narcissistic abuse is not, we're not going to talk about this being an attachment issue. Abuse and our attachment are not the same thing. Sure, they can be interwoven, but they're not the same thing. A personality disorder is not an attachment issue. Now, there could be attachment issues in there, but they're separate, okay? So we don't want to murky and muddy the waters that someone who's being abusive and gaslighting and erratic and making us feel all kinds of like just knots inside of ourselves with anxiety and panic, that is their attachment style. All right. So I saw this video pop up on Instagram, and I can't, literally, I'm having such trouble even using Instagram because of my absolute saturation point with all these damn videos and these wannabe influencers just doing these freaking videos. And I don't care anymore. I don't care about this kind of stuff anymore. I'm here for, if you can't learn how to be in a relationship with me properly, then I don't want it. I'm not going to take the time to coach and coerce and teach and make PowerPoint presentations and lists and rules and outlines of how I expect to be treated. It has to be a two-way communication street. Both people need to be able to have those conversations, but I'm at a place in my life that there is no way in hell I am doing the opposite and trying to heal a man that doesn't know how to show up properly as a mature person in a relationship. No, thank you. So if you don't have the ability to have the conversations, to be consistent, to be emotionally available, at least on some level, right? Men are going to be different in how they show up emotionally. Yes, of course. If you're not able to show up communicate things that you want to see changed, or your feelings about something, or what you directly want me to work on, and it comes out in passive aggressive ways, or cold shoulder, or stonewalling, or sarcasm, or passive aggression, no thank you. So that is where that is their job. So it doesn't matter if they've had trauma, if they have mommy issues, daddy issues, whatever past issues with women. It does not matter if they're not willing to look at that, or at least learn how to do different in relationship with you. So don't get tied up when you are, whether you're still in a relationship that's not working like this, or you are considering dating or wondering, what are the things I need to be aware of when dating? You definitely want someone that is willing to do the work to be a secure partner, to create that safety. So even if they do have tendencies toward being more avoidant, are they willing to do the work to work on their end of it? So what I see is that women who are anxiously or leaning anxiously attached, if they fit that picture, sometimes we fit more than one and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So do your own research on it, and just to get an idea. But don't get too lost in the weeds here, because again, this is about self-learning, and it's about noticing what kind of partners trigger the attachment style that we have. However, because anxiously attached will trigger avoidant attached with our neediness and anxiety and need for closeness and need for reassurance and need for constant everything, that's what we have to work on, because that's not reasonable. It's not right to put that on a partner. So we have to learn how to deal with our own anxieties. But what I see with women that are anxiously attached, they're with narcissistic partners or avoidantly attached partners, which again are not the same thing, but either or. You could end up coming out of a narcissistic abuse relationship and then ending up with an avoidant, because there's similar behaviors there, and we're drawn to these similar things because we have not done our own work. And so we need to be aware of this. Women who are anxiously attached end up taking all the responsibility for healing themselves and figuring out I'm anxiously attached, and they're also trying to take responsibility for healing their avoidant, dismissive men. So that's a no, because he has to be fully engaged in his own work to be more available to you, period. Otherwise, you're going to spend the entire relationship nagging, complaining, coaching, mothering, coercing, teaching, directing, like all of this. Yes, communication. Yes, being able to speak up. But that has to go both ways. And if the other person is running from the conversations, avoiding them, getting defensive, going silent, checking out, not being willing to meet you in the middle to learn new ways, it's not going to work unless you sacrifice yourself. So the talk that is out there about all of these things like avoidant attachment and anxious attachment, it can be a distraction from the actual root cause. And so if you read any of these books or listen to any of these teachers about this, or therapists that teach this, they will say anxiously attached need secure attached partners. So you'd be looking for someone that has none of these issues, and they're just very secure. They're secure with distance, and they're secure with closeness. They don't have any of those tendencies to want to run from emotional conversations. And those, I think, are going to be like a needle in a haystack, because I think we all have some of the tendencies to be anxious or avoidant. But the dismissiveness is something we see in narcissism that can be very triggering, to feel dismissed as an equal partner in the relationship, meaning we have equal say and equal, like our opinions and our desires and our thoughts are equal to yours. Like mine are not better, yours are not better, and we may not agree, but nobody's is better or worse. There's just this balance of equality in there, that we both bring something to the table. But if you are anxiously attached, you are with someone with either narcissism, narcissistic traits, they're narcissistically abusive, or you're with someone who is under the dismissive avoidant realm or the avoidant realm, it's going to definitely activate those anxious attachment tendencies. And so then the work for us is to know, is it because of the relationship or that person, or is it just that I need to learn how to self-soothe and work through this? Do I need to communicate this? What do I need to do? And this is our healing work, ladies. If you are thinking at all about now or in the future, dating again or considering another relationship again, I think most women are. They're terrified to do it because of what they've been through, but this is the work that you need to be doing on yourself. There is no shortcut or 10-step process necessarily. There are principles and there are things that I teach for how to become more solid in yourself and heal those tendencies. But it's a process, and often really the bad news or the good news, whichever you want to call it, is that we really can't heal this outside of relationship, because it's within relationship with a healthier person who can show up for us and who can learn to do better, who's willing to do better, that we heal that. It's pretty hard to heal an anxious attachment on your own with your journal and your dogs, right? Because you're not going to be triggered. And a lot of us that have experienced these triggering relationships and these traumatic, tumultuous relationships, we just crave being alone. We don't even want to deal with anyone else. And I see that a lot with women. It's like, oh, I don't even want anything to do with men anymore. They're all this, they're all that. I just want to be here with my dogs by myself, not being bothered with all these narcissistic, toxic men. Granted, but are you taking ownership for your part in why you end up attracting those? Because like attracts like. Are you at the level to attract a healthy, solid, secure man? Are you at that level yourself? Are you in a place that you're going to call out bullshit and set boundaries and give feedback in a direct way without the drama and the emotion and the checking out and the pouting and the whining and complaining and bitching, like moaning type stuff, right? The ranting, but like calling out bad behavior? Or do you just keep quiet and not say anything? So then you're going to attract someone that is like, excellent, I can get away with it, right? And we need to take ownership for our part in that. And there go my dogs. So it's a great time to close up. Hopefully this has been helpful and given you some food for thought. If you are seeing all those reels on this attachment style, that attachment style, let's just be real about it, that attachment style does not negate abuse. It does not give space or permission for abuse of any kind. And emotional abuse is anything that is continuing to hurt you emotionally that they keep doing. So an avoidant could be under the realm of emotionally abusive if they are continuing to do things beyond you communicating it a couple of different times. They should be actively working on not doing or doing the things that you're communicating that you need in order to feel safe and secure. Because you should feel secure in yourself, but also with a person if you're sharing your life with them. And so we have to take ownership for that so that we will see those things and know when it's time to walk the other way, because we've already tried to have these conversations and nothing is changing, or it's getting worse with time instead of better. It should not get worse with time. If anything, the beginning of a new relationship, when you've been married long-term and you've experienced betrayal trauma and narcissistic abuse and toxic relationships, the first while can be full of triggers and really difficult to navigate because you're just waiting. You're in hypervigilance. But over time, as that person shows they're trustworthy, shows they're consistent, shows that they're committed, you build that inner security within yourself. They build that inner security, even if they have some avoidant tendencies, that they can come to you and that they also feel safe with you. It's got to go both ways. And the relationship becomes more solid and comfortable and secure over time. It should not get worse. It should not be full of conflict and fights and arguing and just distance. It should not be that. And I think even in the whole relationship space around, oh, you got to be able to fight fair. Well, I don't think there should be fighting. There can be conflict and disagreements, but I want nothing to do with fighting about anything. There is no yelling and screaming and raising voices and saying nasty things, zero space, zero tolerance for that. And that's what I want for every woman, is it doesn't matter if it's coming from anxious avoidant or avoidant, whatever it's coming from with the attachment style. It is no excuse or a reason for someone to be emotionally harmful to you in a relationship. You can never feel satisfied or secure in a relationship with someone like that if they're not doing the work to be a more secure, solid partner with you. You cannot do the work for them. And that wraps up this message for today. I hope it's been helpful, and I will chat with you in the next one. Take care.